Scott, yes. He was a silver medalist and probably the most decorated of all time. But I think he won that first class with he probably could have gone in before anybody, but he probably still with rules.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Bruce on Davis. I had this video. All right. All right, everybody. We're going to get this show underway. What a great day we have in store on a weekend of drama and angst for almost, I think, Rex, we have no weekend recap today because of this special Southwest Conference Hall of Fame induction. Thank goodness we don't have a recap. Lord help. Because I think not everybody, but a lot of people lost. And I know for Razorback fans, it's been a rough weekend. Whether you supported the move or not doesn't matter at this point. Obviously, it's never a pleasant thing to fire a head coach. And I was just going to ask anybody real quick. So since we started the Touchdown Club, this is year 16. So next year will be 17. I'm going to do the math real quick. How many head coaches have we had come to the Touchdown Club representing the U of A? Anybody want to take a guess? 17 years. It'll be 17 years starting next year. It would be 6. So that's tough. That's tough. But you know what? So great to have on this day, a day when we recognize Razorback royalty. Do you agree? Please, let's give it up. We've got Razorback royalty on this stage. I didn't want to mention right off the bat, and usually I will save this for the special guest category. But I always say we are blessed to be here. You could be down 6:30 in one of the hospitals right now in a hospital bed. You could be at home fighting some kind of deathly illness, but you're here. That's right, you're here, and we're blessed, are we not? So I just want to recognize somebody who's here today. It's amazing. She looks like she's about 45 or 50. But when we're talking about the greatest Razorbacks of all time, this was a man who was one of the greatest of all time. And went into, what year did he go into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame? 2014. Very easily, many have said the greatest Razorback player of all time, the great Clyde Scott. But his wife is here today. We're so honored to have Leslie Scott here. Now, Leslie, where are you at, Miss Scott? Raise your hand. So I hope you don't mind me telling you this because I was stunned. Leslie Scott, there she is, the wife of Clyde Scott, former Miss Arkansas, and I swear when she came up to me, no joke, I have bad eyes, you can certainly say this, but I thought you were in your 70s. She is 94 years old here today. How about that? Razorback royalty right there. She was the special force behind Clyde Scott and Miss Arkansas. What year were you Miss Arkansas, Miss Scott? What was it? 1945. How about that? We are so honored to have you here today as we celebrate these great Hall of Famers up here at the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. So thank you for being here. Without further ado, Gary, will you come up and bless this wonderful lunch today?
Thank you, David. Let's get right to it. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for the opportunity we have to come, celebrate, and honor these great Razorback heroes. Lord, we ask you to bless them and their families. We thank you for all the sacrifice that they made. Lord, we ask you to use today's food to give us strength as we serve you today, and use us in every way possible. In your Son's name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. I want to remind everybody to mute your phones. As I told our honorees last night, if you've got family or friends anywhere in the world, from Greece to China to Hawaii, if they will go to lrtouchdown.com or the Little Rock Touchdown Club Facebook page, they can watch this live tonight. It's right now, live. And then we'll archive it later this afternoon. So make sure to do that and then mute your phone if you will. Do want to thank the Doubletree Hotel. And nice to have a parking deck on a day like today. Yes, very nice. Yes. One of the benefits of being downtown. Do want to thank Jeff McClure, Beth Clark, and Brent Bailey, who's been amazing working with us with the Doubletree. Brent, thank you so much. I do want to mention one thing. As you leave, you've gotten here, you've seen our Pulaski County Sheriff's deputies working the lights, right? Well, they're Christmas time, they're doing an event, and I want us to be able to support if we want to. It's Lodge 27. They have an annual Christmas toy drive where they took 40 kids last year and actually gave them $400 to go into a place to buy toys, not for things, not diapers, not just for them. So I'll send you an email on that. We want to support them because they've been great to work with us, obviously, this year. But Pulaski County Sheriff deputies, as they want to double that up to 80 kids this year that they can take toy shopping and for $400 a piece. So we appreciate them. I do want to thank all of our great sponsors very quick. Twin City Limousine. Popeye, great to have you here today along with Greg Hatcher. We appreciate your support throughout the year. CGRW, Mark Raines, Dan Sawyer, Darren Gray. What an amazing advertising and marketing firm they are. Please take advantage of them if you need any help in that area. 103.7 The Buzz, as you can imagine, has been a crazy day today and over the weekend. And so great to have them here today as well, broadcasting live. Arkansas Urology, Scott Davis, Tim Langford, Arkansas's largest urology practice, 17 physicians, 9 locations. Please take advantage of their amazing services. War Memorial Stadium. Been a lot of talk about War Memorial and the game after Thanksgiving. So, I hope that Barry Lunny comes out and says, I know this is not where we need to be as a program, but please come out if you can and support the Razorbacks. So I think for Central Arkansas, do we not all agree it would be nice for us to show up at that last game of the year at War Memorial Stadium to show our support in Central Arkansas? I know the Parks and Tourism Department will have the stadium looking great, and hopefully the weather will be cooperative. And so we really need to get out there, and hopefully Barry Lunny, as you know, is the interim coach, junior, will make sure and say as much to the fans that we need them there. Also want to thank Farm Bureau, Pulaski County, Todd Dennis, Stephen Reichert. Please give them a chance to quote any of your insurance needs, whether it be home, auto, boat, health, you name it. They're great folks, Farm Bureau of Pulaski County. Dairy Queen, I saw Nelson Lively here today, Blake Nelson, Todd Denton. I know they opened up Greenbrier location recently. Congratulations, Nelson. Brought by a big ice cream cake to Tommy Smith the other day. So great to have Dairy Queen involved with the Touchdown Club. Simmons Bank Arena. I don't know if you heard Cher is coming back to town. I've seen Cher before. And great to have Michael Marion here. See what happens when Mississippi State starts winning, Michael Marion starts showing up here at the Touchdown Club. I do want to make mention, too, they had these new boxes I just now found out about, according to Jeremy Flynn. It's not the big suite boxes, but it's called a loge box. It's about 1/3 the cost of renting a suite or leasing a suite. So if you want to find out about that, Bill and Doris, I know you want to find out about it. Talk to Jeremy Flynn at Simmons Bank Arena. Really cool thing they're developing over there for those folks who don't want to spend the money on the bigger suite. So glad to have Simmons Bank Arena involved. Big Red Stores, Arkansas-owned company by the Hendricks family. The lights are bright today, so I can't see if anybody's here, but I know that David Jr. is getting ready to have a baby either today or tomorrow. And the baby's going to be called Eden. And I asked if he'd be willing to have the birth live at the Touchdown Club. And he said no, just joking. But appreciate the Hendricks family. What a great family they are, and representing Big Red Stores. Also, Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. What an amazing law firm they are. Today they have their labor and employment team led by Michelle. I believe it's Camerling? Did I get Camerling? Where's Michelle at? Michelle, great to have you here today and your team. Management-oriented practices addressing all the aspects of the employer-employee relationship, from employee leave issues to medical marijuana in the workplace to internal investigations. They are an amazing team, and glad to have you all here today. You guys are the best in the business, and glad that Judy and everybody else said you guys come today and have a seat here at this wonderful day for the introduction of our Salsa Buzz Conference Hall of Fame recipients. Also, too, couldn't do the Cliff Harris Award without Wright, Lindsay, and Jennings. So thank you and welcome to the Labor and Employment team here today. Also, Crane Automotive, I want to thank Larry Crane, largest dealer group in Arkansas with 19 dealerships, 800 employees. Crane team's got to make sure and challenge them to give you the best deal in town, and they will. A Democrat Gazette, Wally Hall. Do you want to thank Wally? I know Wally's over here somewhere. He's also a voter on the Broyles Award. And also, I don't know if Amanda Copley is here today, but they've announced their speaker for their All-Arkansas Preps banquet in June. Did you hear who it was? Ozzie Smith. Ozzie Smith, which I think is fantastic. June 20th is that. We'll have our All-Arkansas Preps Player of the Week next week. Didn't want to do that today just because we're too busy. And finally, Simmons Bank, founded in 1903. We couldn't do without them. Almost 10 states now, $20 billion in assets. I see Tommy May is here today. Tommy was there at the game Saturday. God bless him. And great to see him. And appreciate George Macris at the head table, Pat Anderson and Chuck Talapic today. Appreciate you guys being here and supporting us. We couldn't do it without Simmons Bank. Let's give a big round of applause to Simmons Bank and all of our great sponsors here today. Simmons also sponsors the Willie Rofe Award, of course. Do you want to thank our Touchdown Club team, Matt Johnson Productions, handling all AV needs, live streaming, all that we do. Thank you, Matt. Dwayne Duncan, best photographer in the country. Thank you, Dwayne. RJ Hawk Media Solutions. For all of our honorees, our Twitter account, @LR Touchdown Club. If you want to tweet something out, we also have Facebook and Instagram. I do want to thank Meredith Scott Hale from CareLink for helping us with social media, Samantha Montgomery from the AG office, Grant Garrett, former Razorback, Garrett Excavation, and Ann Jensen Broadwater, and our amazing Touchdown Club volunteers. They check everybody in. They set up all these placards. They do this every week, led by Debbie Wyman, our executive director. Let's give them all a big round of applause for the work they do each week. No Rex Nelson today because of our inductees and our ceremony. Rex, like I said, maybe a good week to be off that. I do want to say, but next weekend is the Battle of the Ravine. Saturday. So for those of you maybe who are Razorback fans, you have the week off. If you've never been down to Cliff Harris Stadium, it's going to be an amazing Saturday. Weather's supposed to be good. It's going to be on ESPN as well, ESPN 3. Yeah, and so hopefully I've asked ESPN to maybe give some plugs on game day to that game. So anyway, if you can't get down there, go down there and be a part of the Battle of the Ravine. I think the record is 43, 43, and 6. And it was began in 1895. Is that right? Yep. Boom, 1895. So if you don't have plans this Saturday, go down and watch Division II football at its best. And OBU's right now is ranked what? Number 5 in the nation. And so, you know, even though UCA lost, they'll still probably be a top 10, top 15 team. Anyway, and Henderson's also. So go and take part of that. You know, we could not do this event today without the cooperation of multiple things. First of all, for those of you who wonder how this thing got started, Jeff Long called me and said, would you guys be willing to do the Hall of Fame induction for the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame with the Touchdown Club? And I said, sure, we'd be glad to help, because the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, who houses the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame, they wanted to catch up a few years ago and get some more Razorbacks in there. So we've done this now, Cooper, about 6 years? 6 years. So Cooper Jones has done an amazing job as president. Tom Hill is here as part of a board of trustees. Tom, great to have you back. But we couldn't do this without the Texas Sports Hall of Fame deciding that this is a good idea. And Cooper, you've been here. You've been an unbelievable host. You've embraced the Razorbacks. We always joke we hate Texas, except for this one day out of the year when they come and help us honor the great Razorbacks. But they do it with sincerity. They do it with because they know it's important. I love what you said last night. I want everybody to remember this. You know, the Big Eight, Keith Jackson is here, by the way. I'm going to mention some special guests here. You know, Keith, the Big Eight doesn't have a Hall of Fame. And so all those legacies and those histories are not being told. The great thing now is Southwest Conference, because it has a Hall of Fame, all these great athletes up here today, the stories will be told forever, and there's a place where people can go and read about them. So without further ado, please welcome from the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, Cooper Jones, everybody.
Thank you, David. It is always a hard act to follow David, and you throw that sports jacket in, and it is really, really difficult. My friend, I love it. We'll get one for me next year. You're going to have to do 2 of those and sew them together. We have a very special day today, but for multiple reasons. Not only the tremendous men and women and families that are joining me here on the stage, but today's Veterans Day. If you served or are currently serving, would you please raise your hand in the audience? Thank you so much. Thanks to all our men and women who have served and continue to serve and allow us to have the freedoms to gather in a place like this and celebrate something we love, which is Razorback athletics. Before I move on, I want to honor specifically someone who has served our country with great distinction. That's Glen Rose. What you've done specifically in Vietnam, we are forever grateful and indebted to you. Thank you, Glen, so much. David mentioned some of the wonderful sponsors that are not only here in Little Rock but throughout the state. I want to mention another one that has personally been involved, 2 in fact, that have personally been involved with the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame for several years. One is Bill Montgomery, Razorback legend and great. He has been one of the people who is a pioneer and has shepherded this process through. Unfortunately, Bill wasn't able to be with us today. I think he has a heavy golf schedule in Carmel, so he wasn't able to get off the links. This is being streamed, isn't it? I should not have said that. But Bill is not able to be here with us today, but Bill is one of the driving factors behind this happening. And the second group is individuals Harriet and Warren Stevens and the great people over at Stevens, Inc. They have been partners with the Texas Sports Hall of Fame and the Southwest Conference Committee from the beginning. And quite frankly, without their generosity, this would be very difficult for us. So we want to make sure that we thank those groups as well. We are so proud of these inductees that are on stage, the families that are here and the ones that are not here with us. In 1996, when the Southwest Conference folded, the Texas Sports Hall of Fame agreed to take on all marks of the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. We are the repository for everything for that 60-plus year conference. And part of that is the Southwest Conference Gallery, which is over 18,000 square feet in our 40,000 square feet facility dedicated to all 9 schools. You will be proud to know that the square footage honoring each of those 9 schools is exactly the same. So Texas has no more space than A&M. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Texas has no more space than Rice and has no more space than Arkansas. I will mention when you walk through the door immediately on the left is the Arkansas exhibit. So we hope that all of you, when you get an opportunity, will come to Waco and visit this, not only for our inductees, but it is a special part of the history of this part of the country. And we house that. We're proud of it. Come see Chip and Joanna. Come see the Dr. Pepper Museum. But as you're leaving out of town, make sure you carve out a good hour and a half or 2 hours and come by and see us in Waco at the Hall of Fame. I also want to thank, before I sit down, a group of special individuals from the University of Arkansas, Razorback Athletics, and the Razorback Foundation. They have been such tremendous partners with us, along with the Little Rock Touchdown Club. I want to thank Hunter, want to thank Kevin. Scott, I see you here somewhere. The lights are pretty bright, so I can't see Scott. I know a carload full of individuals came down from Razorback Foundation Day. We're so thankful for that. David has been a wonderful partner, and we continue to love to do this event and excited about our future. But as you mentioned earlier, Debbie is the one who drives this train, and we're so thankful for Debbie Wyman and her tremendous support of this event. Let's give her a round of applause. And finally, to show you how much the Texas Sports Hall of Fame and our Southwest Conference Hall of Fame group support this initiative. From Waco, coming up yesterday, staying all day today, is Tom Hill. Tom was a past chairman of the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. He's a current executive committee member, and he is the chairman of the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame Committee. Tom coordinates with each one of the 9 schools in the conference, and I think almost perfect attendance at this event. Am I right? Have you missed one maybe in 6 years? This shows you the value that the Texas Sports Hall of Fame and our Southwest Conference Hall of Fame places on this event and these wonderful athletes and their families. I want to ask Tom to come to the stage. I know he had a few words, but we are so thankful that our board places an emphasis on this event like our staff does. Before I sit down, thanks to these wonderful families, these wonderful individuals, you are joining a select group of individuals. There are literally tens of thousands of student athletes that participated in the Southwest Conference. There are less than 500 inductees in the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. You literally are not just Razorback royalty, you are Southwest Conference royalty. And we're so proud to welcome you into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. Thank you, everyone.
I'm going to be brief, and I want to say thank you to everyone that helps make this possible as well. Last night, we have a little get-together for all of the inductees and kind of a preview for some of them and what they're going to expect. And one of the things that I had an opportunity to mention to them was this is a big deal. From a board's perspective, this is so exciting to be a part of this, and I hope that each one of you understand and appreciate this honor because you're going to be housed in memory now, and we love every minute of it. From a board's perspective, anytime you go south on I-35, the Hall of Fame is about 200 yards off of the interstate. You can't miss it. Now, I know it's going to be hard for you to turn left going towards Baylor, but we're not on the Baylor campus. We are literally 200 yards off of I-35 and right in the middle of it all. The College Football Coaches Association is right there, and the Hall of Fame is right next to it. Thank you all so much for supporting this through the years. Thank you for all that you do as well. Appreciate it.
Funny story I told all the honorees last night. You know, when I was recruited down in Panama City, Florida, this is a true story. So Lou Holtz was recruiting me, and I didn't know. Listen, I'm from Panama. I'm on the Panhandle of Florida. So all I know is that Lou Holtz was recruiting me. I don't know much about Arkansas, so I got signed and come up there. And so I'm up there about a month during 2 days, and I start looking through like the media guide. And I remember I returned to my roommate, and I'm going, wait a minute. Are you telling me that we're the only school in the Southwest Conference not from the state of Texas? Are you kidding me? I had no idea when I came here that we were the only school. I was like, you got to be kidding me. How does that work? It can't be treated fairly. And it's great to have our friends from Texas here today. Thank you, Cooper, and thank you, David. Tom. Tom will be presenting we have some real nice medals that we'll present on each honoree today. A couple things real quick. I do want to mention some special guests. In the back somewhere in the room, he'll be here when you guys leave. Evan Demerill, who is the author of a really cool book, I've got it here. Author of African American Athletes in Arkansas, Muhammad Ali's Tour, Great Black Arkansas Razorbacks, and Other Forgotten Stories. So he's going to be signing these. This is a really cool book if you want to get it when you walk out of here. Evan's an amazing author, and especially, obviously, with John Richardson his family being honored today here. So make sure and say hi to Evan as you go out. I mentioned a minute ago, Keith Jackson. Great to have Keith, even though he's an OU guy. We love him here, and he's all about the Razorbacks and being supportive. And he's here, I know, to support Lisa. Keith, great to see you. Daryl Walker is here, and Daryl obviously is the wife of Lisa Sparks Walker, and I believe, did I say wife or husband? Man, listen, it just came out that way, Lisa. Maybe that's the way it really is, isn't it? Where's Daryl at? I see him right there. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the only time in the history of the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame that a husband and wife team have gone in and both are in there. How about that, a husband and wife team? Daryl was a great Razorback basketball player, of course. Great to have Daryl here today. As you mentioned, Cooper, Bill Montgomery, how great was he, and all that he has done to support this event. Couldn't do it without Bill Montgomery. He did a great job speaking this year. Harry King was another one I wanted to make sure and recognize. Harry was great in supporting this event. Also, real quick, our U of A party. I understand there's some kind of press conference going on today, but we don't care about that darn thing. We're here to support and acknowledge the great Razorback players of all time. So at this time, hold your applause. Please stand the U of A party. Scott Verity, head of the Razorback Foundation, Norm DeBryan and his wife Caroline, Billy Vitato here. She's a Razorback Foundation CFO. Also the Razorback Foundation, Micah Struther, Colton Prim, and Emily Money. Please stand and let's give them a round of applause. Where are you guys at? Please stand. Come on, stand up right there. Great to have them there today. I know it's sort of crazy going on right now. I do not envy you and your phone bill right now of how many phone calls you guys have gotten, but the fact that you're here means a lot. Appreciate you guys being here. So great to have them here. All right, it's time to get on with our honorees. This gentleman has done this for us this will be year number 6. Nobody is better than this guy. He's my buddy. We go back 30 years, and Steve Sullivan, we both were not born in Arkansas, but we've made Arkansas our home, and he's a multiple Hall of Fame broadcaster. Nobody brings it. He's done all the Brules Award stuff for me every year for 24 years. He's done everything Touchdown Club related. He's the best in the business. He could be in Bristol, Connecticut at ESPN, but he chooses to stay here. He will be doing our introductions of each of our honorees today. Some honorees are not here, and he'll explain that. But we're so honored to have a guy. Matter of fact, if you look up there, he's got a big banner that says Sully Award. We do a Call of the Year award in high school and college because nobody delivers a more energetic and enthusiastic play call than Steve Sullivan. So let's give him a Little Rock Touchdown Club welcome. Steve Sullivan, everybody.
And no one's been better to me than that guy right there. All right, I came to Little Rock in 1985. This is a great history lesson for me because I learned so much about so many great athletes. And I get reminded, Keith Jackson, if you could please stand up. You know what I'm reminded of first? I'm getting real old because I covered you as a senior in high school. But more importantly, as we begin to honor our group, our first inductee has something very important in common with you. I think the greatest compliment you can pay an athlete from the past is say he would be a star today. And we have the Landers Award, Best High School Players. If Keith Jackson was playing in 2019, that'd be our Landers Award winner. Yep. And the same for our first inductee. You can sit down. I got a big introduction just pointing over there. I'm a pointer or whatever. Delmonica Hawkins. I know if Mike Neighbors was recruiting, his first trip would have been to Poto, Oklahoma to sign you. Hands down, one of the best players in Razorback basketball history, the only player in Southwest Conference history to receive 3 Player of the Year honors during her career You'll see in a minute, she's tall, 6'4", center out of Poto, earned Southwest Conference Newcomer of the Year honors as a freshman. Injuries limited her during her sophomore season. As a junior, she was dominant. And how about this? She led the way as Arkansas ended Texas's 183 conference winning streak and won a share of the league title. She had back-to-back. Always great. We beat Texas. 30-point games in the NCAA tourney, and was Arkansas's first Kodak All-American. She was also Southwest Conference Player of the Year as a senior. Arkansas beat Texas twice, finished 15-1 in conference play. She was named Southwest Conference Player of the Year. When you talk about great post players in the history of Razorback women's basketball, you start with this woman right here, Delmonica Hawkins. Welcome to the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame.
So everyone that knows me knows that I'm a crier, so I'm going to try to get through this. I am just so honored. I'm in a way speechless, which is not me, you know. But first I want to thank the Texas Sports Hall of Fame Board of Trustees. I want to thank the Southwest Conference. I want to thank Tom Hill. Thank you so much, Cooper Jones, for this opportunity. Of course, the Little Rock Touchdown Club. I appreciate it so much. And I want to thank the University of Arkansas. You know, I'm just a country girl. See, I said I wasn't going to do this. See, I'm a country girl from Oklahoma who was given an opportunity to continue to play the game that I love. The University of Arkansas gave me so much. I was able to play on national television where my family could see me playing on national television. Ooh, I was able to play. All the things that I was afforded, the opportunities I was given. I'm a girl from Oklahoma who was at the Olympic trials with Cheryl Miller because of the University of Arkansas. I appreciate the university so much. The Southwest Conference has given me so much. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the one person who's here in spirit. But my dad, Reverend Clifton D. Hornady, he loved the university. The coaches came to our home when they recruited us, and my dad was just so thankful. And I know that I would not be here because of his love and support. He's the veteran in my life that I truly love. I also want to thank my main girl, my mom. She's here. My mom, Dolores D. Hornady, is here. I know don't cry, Mom, don't cry. My brother is here, Clifton D. Hornady, the other veteran in my life that I love. My sister-in-law, Pam D. Hornady, is here. My nephew, I won't say little Clifton, oops, I already said it, but my little nephew, Clifton D. Hornady. Of course, my husband that I love, who told me not to cry today, and I'm sorry. And my beautiful daughter, Julia Hawkins, is here. And my daughter, Jordan Hawkins, she's watching, she's playing professional ball overseas in Serbia. Hi, Jordan. Now you can go to sleep. I know it's late there. I have so many fond memories of the university, my teammates, the coaches, and all the love. One thing that folks don't know, when I was in Oklahoma, we still played 6-on-6 basketball. That means that you'd come to the half and you'd have to stop as an offensive player. So one of the things the coaches did whenever we started is that they would have to yell at me when I first started playing to go, go, don't stop. So I would literally come to the line and stop, and then they would have to say, go, go, go. And so some of the folks in the stands, they didn't know, so everybody started yelling, go, go, go. So many things but I want to tell you how honored I am, how much I appreciate this, and I love the university, I love Southwest Conference, and thank you all so much for this opportunity.
Speeches like that make this event worthwhile. What a great deal. And why is it with women? I notice this. I have a daughter. One is 5'10", and the other's 5'4", but the 5'10" one is always wearing the heels, and the 5'4" is always on the... No, I have a special connection with the Irish distance runners. My parents grew up in Ireland. Both when they were 16 came over in a boat with hope for a better life, and hopefully they accomplished that. But that was just think about that. When you're young, say 17 or 18, and you leave your home country with the hope you're going to have a better life somewhere else. And that happened for Paul Donovan, a native of Galway, Ireland. He was actually training Gaelic football when he found he had a gift for long-distance running. Paul was one of the early stars, and you think about it, it was the Irish runners who were the foundation of the great things that went on at the track program for John McDonald. During his time as a Hog, he helped lead Arkansas to 4 NCAA and 10 Southwest Conference titles, including the school's first Triple Crown back in 1985. He was a 3-time NCAA champ. All came indoors. His first individual title came in the 1,500 meters at the 1985 NCAA Track and Field Championships. His time was 3:43.48. The following year, he won a national title in the 3,000-meter event. He was a 10-time All-American, also an outstanding cross-country runner, earning All-American honors 3 times. He competed at 2 Olympics, ran professionally. Please welcome to the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame, Paul Donovan, and unfortunately, he's out of the country and unable to be here today. He has a sick relative, so I don't think we have anyone to speak for him, so no picture or anything? All right, we just move on. All right, how about a nice cheer? All right, is Big Joe Klein here today? No. Okay, so I'll just call him out anyway. Arkansas has had some great big men like Big Joe Klein and Scott Hastings, but only one Hog. Scott Hastings led the Hogs in both scoring and rebounding for 3 straight years. His scoring averages sophomore through senior seasons, 16.2, 16.3, and 18.6. He also led the Hogs in block shots in his sophomore and senior seasons. He still ranks 4th in school history in points with 1,779 and 7th on the rebound list with 680. And how about this? He holds the distinction of being the final Razorback to earn all Southwest Conference honors. During Scott's time as a Hog, his teams won 3 Southwest Conference titles and made 4 NCAA tourney appearances. As a freshman, he started for a team that went 25-5 and made it to the Elite 8. Another great thing about this event, we learn about all the great history we've had and the great teams we've had. Scott was a second-round NBA draft pick, went on to play 11 seasons in the NBA. He's now a great broadcaster, and get this, unfortunately, Denver played last night, so he couldn't be here, but he did send us this video.
Hey everybody, Scott Hastings here, and hopefully somebody just didn't throw this video on, so you probably already knew that, and that was a little redundant, but let's be honest, I'm in television, and all you guys that are working in the media, you know redundancy is king. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, first of all, I want to say thank you for the honor, and I wish I could have been there. My job, I actually do some stuff with the Denver Nuggets traveling. I was in Minnesota. Wasn't going to get in late, you know. If I had a barbecue place, you know, maybe I could sleep in and just like roll in like, you know, Joe would, or, you know, some coach saying, you know, like Daryl does, just, you know, go to a later practice. But kind of got a real thing going on. Actually, it's not even a real job. It's just travel-wise, it's going to be tough. First of all, it's an honor to be inducted into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. I'm sad that the Southwest Conference has gone bye-bye. I'm glad that people still want to remember it. I feel that I was a part of one of the greatest era, at least with basketball, with some of the guys that came out when I played, from, you know, Clyde Drexler, Hakeem Olajuwon, LaSalle Thompson, Joe Klein, Darrell Walker, Alvin Robertson, Sidney Moncrief. I mean, the list goes on. It was a fun time. You know, my time at Fayetteville has molded me some 40 years later. Gosh, that's a little scary right there. Memories and things that Coach Sutton said to me, whether I was called into his office, which he didn't want to be, although the worst time called in his office, ask Joe Klein about that. He'll explain it. Has to do with Jerry Lee Lewis and shaving cream, and it's a whole nother story. But like I said, ask him, he'll tell you. But the way it molded me, I find myself, as I broadcast games, breaking down games, still having things that I learned and was taught by Eddie Sutton. To me, the greatest coach in the world, and why he's not in the Hall of Fame, people are stupid. And I will say that out loud. I'll wait for a little of applause to die down. Thank you very much. But the friends I made there, the teammates that I had there, that are still dear friends to this day. Daryl, and I make fun of Daryl's one of my good friends of all time, and started a Vine. You know, now we've got to learn these cool fancy words, by the way. Started Vine, and Ricky Norton and Gene, the Dancing Machine's on there, and John Snively, and all these guys that I played with and laughed with and cried with and broke bread with and sweated with. Still some 40 years later, man, I think all of us feel the same way. We take a bullet for each one of us. That's how close we were, and why for me it was such a special time. And then kind of being at Arkansas and being that lone school not in the state of Texas, in the Southwest Conference. Man, it just, when you went there, it was just us against them. It was just a cool, awesome vibe at every league game. You know, whether you're playing Baylor or TCU or Rice or Houston or Texas, man, they were just big games. So I'm honored, I'm thrilled. I still carry, obviously, the Arkansas basically imprinted on my heart. But the Southwest Conference, man, is ingrained in me as well. All the wonderful people. I want to thank whoever was responsible for putting me in the Hall of Fame. I owe you. Thank you very much. I'll buy you dinner at Corky's. Charge it to Joe. But, man, it's a big honor. I am sorry I am not there. But I also owe Daryl some money. And, by the way, his wife's there. And having to tell that story, his wife is the real athlete in that family. Lisa, you are the real athlete in that family, and you know I speak the truth. Anyway, God bless everybody. Thank you so much. Thrilled, honored, and sorry I'm not there, but this is a huge, huge honor that I don't take lightly. So thank you, guys.
I would think if we were ranking all-time touchdown videos, he just passed Dan Hampton, who we actually saw in person this year after how many videos? All right, if you're important in my life, I don't do contacts. I remember your number, 658-3872. That's our next inductee, Bruce James, the pride of Moss Point, Mississippi. No one set the edge like big number 85. Bruce was a first-team All-American defensive end by the Football Writers of America in 1970. Helped Arkansas go 9-2 and finish with the number 11 ranking by the Associated Press. He was part of defensive units. Yes, we have played great defense in history. Not recently. Led the Southwest Conference in total defense in 1970, rushing defense in 1968, and scoring defense in 1969. In 1969, this is crazy, that Razorback defense Bruce was on, and they were incredible in the great shootout, gave up only 7.6 points a game. Fast forward about 20 years in my connection with Bruce, we were going to do a big show on Channel 7 Sports Week. It was going to feature Baz and a former Razorback, Patrick Williams. The week before the show is about to start, Patrick Williams moves to Houston. So we asked Baz, who do we get? And he said, I have an insurance guy who was an All-American football player who loves to talk Razorbacks. And I'd never heard of Bruce James. And, you know, I'm one who, why practice? Let's do it live. So Bruce, that Sunday, showed up at 10:30 with Baz. It was an instant hit and is still doing the show 20 years later, and I'm proud to call him a great, great friend. There's no better man. He is so committed to his cause, even when I don't believe in him. You know, he keeps going, but I am so happy I'm here to introduce him in so deserved honor. Bruce James is a Southwest Conference Hall of Famer.
I have to tell you very much how much it means to me that Miss Leslie's here. She and Clyde have been a big part of our family forever. My wife and Leslie are both from Lake Village, Arkansas, and my wife's mother and Leslie's family have been, I guess, friends since the 1930s or whatever, but it means a lot to me, and I know it was a big effort for you to be here, Leslie. Thank you so much. It's a great honor you're here. I want to thank, obviously, Connor and Tom and all the people involved with Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. It is a tremendous honor. And I want to thank Bill Montgomery and certainly Kevin Traynor and all the people affiliated with the U of A that had a big part in this. So thank you very much for sure. Before I get started, I'd like to recognize my family. They're all sitting over here. Would you mind standing, please? My three sons, my daughter-in-laws, and my wife. I greatly appreciate it very much. it's been a long, great journey from the Mississippi Gulf Coast to the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. But it's something that still, to me, is surreal in the sense, how did it all happen? I played my last game at Moss Point High School in we played in a bowl game, and it was November something of 1966. And I had committed to travel to Arkansas to visit. And I had been recruited for a long time in the SEC by all the great coaches, the Bear Bryants, the Charlie McClendons of LSU, the Johnny Vaults of Ole Miss, Shug Jordan over at Auburn and all that. And all my life I wanted to play in the SEC. It was a dream. And I had narrowed down that I was probably going to either go to Ole Miss or go to Auburn. And I love Shug Jordan, and my mother certainly did too. And Coach Brawls, they contacted me. They asked me, they explained that Southwest Conference could not have me on official visit till after my last game as a senior. SEC could have you visit on official after your last game as a junior. So it was a little bit different. So I said, well, you know, I've never seen the state of Arkansas. I'll take that trip. Meantime, I'll be thinking about, I got to come back. I was being pressured heavily about making a decision between Ole Miss and Auburn. And but I'll go visit. And not in a million years would I've ever thought that I would not play in the SEC. It's what I really, really wanted to do. It's a dream come true for a boy in Mississippi. So I get to Fayetteville, and I go in to see Coach Brawls. And unlike all the coaches I previously named, we started talking about my education. What am I going to do in my life? How important is a degree to you? None of those coaches in those other schools had ever talked about anything like that. It was all about how great they were going to make me, or how great I was going to be, or what position I was going to play and everything. And Coach Brawls didn't do that. And so we had that conversation, and the more and more we talked, the more and more I saw things that I liked. I saw things and heard things that I felt like he looked upon me as a lot more than a football player. So I had asked my high school coaches, has Arkansas contacted y'all? Have they got any video on me? I mean, I don't know where this offer. I knew that Lance Allworth had played there. A guy named George Ray Walker from over in Leland, Mississippi, and was on the 1964 championship team. I knew about him. He was a very, very good football player, also Southwest Conference. So I asked Coach Brawls. I said, Coach, my coaches tell me that you don't have any video on me, and they haven't heard from you or whatever. I'm just curious. I mean, why me? Why you offer me a scholarship? And he said, well, we had information sent to us by alumni living in Mississippi, and also our head recruiter is a former coach in Mississippi. We've talked to opponents at different schools of coaches. We know who's offered you, and one of my former players is a defensive coach in a high school down on the Gulf Coast, close to the Gulf Coast. You played against, and I said, what high school is that? He said, Picayune, Mississippi. I said, oh, okay. Well, Picayune's worst football team for years I ever heard of. They were a great basketball school. So I learned later that he said one of his former players, and I kept thinking, well, he must not be a great coach. If he's having to work at Picayune High School, he can't be much. Learned later his name was Jimmy Johnson. So years later, I asked Jimmy about coaching at Picayune, and he politely told me that there was more athletes in the marching band than there was on the football field. So anyway, Coach Brawls in the next 6 weeks of recruitment changed my life. And an 18-year-old went against everything that everybody thought I should do, with the exception of my parents. And that was, I was going to go 700 miles away from home. And everyone that cared about me, my high school principal, my high school coaches, said, you're making the biggest mistake of your life. You're highly recruited. You don't know anybody in the Southwest Conference. Southwest Conference is not as good as the SEC. you need to think this over, don't do it. I did it. It was the smartest thing I ever did in my life. I've never looked back. I thank Coach Brawls. The greatest moment as a Razorback came on January 1st, 1969, when we, the Arkansas Razorbacks, played an undefeated SEC champion in Georgia, in Sugar Bowl, in front of 82,000 people. Now, 82,000 people doesn't sound that large today, but in 1969, that was huge. And we were 18-point underdogs. And we beat Georgia 16-2. Later that afternoon in the Cotton Bowl, University of Texas plays the second-ranked team in the SEC, Tennessee, who was also had only lost one game. And they beat they beat Tennessee 36-13. So both Southwest Conference teams beat the best two teams in the SEC, and I could go home and nobody talked about the SEC. So I've always thought that was my greatest moment as a Razorback. But you don't get up here without the help of everybody. And I was fortunate not only to have Coach Brawls. I probably had the finest coaching that you could have gotten in that era because Coach Brawls always had great assistants. And I played for the legendary Charlie Coffey. And when I say legendary, he was the best. And he literally taught me more about technique football, down and distance, know everything there is to know what these teams like to do when they're at midfield, when they're at 20-yard line. To the point I can't watch a high school or college game on TV or any game that immediately I'm thinking what he would be saying when he's watching the line play. You know, the guy's stepping with the wrong foot. The guy's not keeping his outsarm thing. That kind of thing. He was difficult. He was tough. He told me my senior year that I wasn't tough enough to be a football player because I kept getting operated on. But I would not be standing here today if it wasn't for him. And I called him in 2008 before he passed, and I thanked him for all he did and all he taught me and everything. And he wrote me a wonderful letter. And that was the first time I really thought that he even liked me half a bit. Y'all have heard about Wilson Matthews? I'll take him any day over Charlie Coffey. He wasn't anything like Charlie, but Harold Horton, there's many coaches that did so well. But the main thing is my teammates. You'd have to, Sully was talking about the 1969 defense. Let me tell you something. It was absolutely the smartest football players. They were football savvy. They knew their assignments inside and out. We all had so much pride, but we competed against each other. Everybody wanted to have the tackle stat, the sack stat. We were all chasing. You had 11 people chasing the football and 11 people not making mental errors. And absolutely, I wouldn't be here because if they didn't do their job, I can't do my job. And so we played in absolutely the hardest, toughest football game in the big shootout. And that Texas team I still admire. I've never played against that kind of talent. And we played them off their feet. We didn't make any mental errors. And I've always said that I'm so lucky to have the teammates that I have. And I see some of them sitting back there. And I greatly want y'all to know that I'm accepting all of this for all of us that did that. So we will then get into a part right now that probably most of y'all don't know. But my football career at Arkansas was difficult because for the last 3 years there, I had 4 major operation surgeries, and I was in a car wreck and had broken ribs. And after the surgery of my ankle was reconstructed, and I woke up, the surgeon told me, Mike Kendrick, unfortunately he's not with us anymore. He said, Bruce, I've done all I can do, and it was a lot worse than I thought, and you're not going to play any more football, and I pray to God you don't limp. And you're going to be in a cast. We put steel pins in. You're going to be a cast for about 3 months and everything. So anyway, I'm going to get emotional because I asked him to be here today, and I've never really thanked him properly. But Jim Bone, would you please stand up? Jim's our trainer. When I got out of the hospital, I went to him and I said, I'm making it back. And he said, I'll get you back, but you're going to have to work. And so not only did he get me back, he got me back more than once. Now let me tell you about, I talked about how tough Charlie Coffey was. Basil, don't let me go too long. Okay. All right. This ring, getting close? Okay, I got to move fast. Jim put me back together 3 or 4 times, and without him I wouldn't be standing here. But he gave me the greatest thing that, it's one of the greatest feelings that I've ever had. And it was our senior year, and it was senior day, last game we were ever going to play. My mother and father were up, and my father was in the dressing room. And it was time for the all things to come about, the All-Americans, the All-Southwest Conference and all of that. So the coaches didn't want you to know it. They didn't want you to be aware of it, thought it might influence it. And it was going to be announced on a Monday. My father was acting a little bit different. He asked me to walk outside with him. We were in the dressing room. We were going to have just a walk through practice that day. And he walked outside and he said, Coach Bone told me that he didn't need, you can't tell anybody, but you've made first team All-American. I'm very proud of you. And that, Jim, was something that I've treasured all my life to be able to share with my dad, and you gave it to me. Thank you very much. I really do. Thank all of y'all. I really, really want to thank y'all as fans, what y'all do for this club, the sponsors, making this all happen. Thank you very much.
Just wild, when they first started, you thought that team of Bruce, the old school guy, and Baz would never work. Well, they've become the greatest friends and such an asset to us at Channel 7. I want to thank you for all the years we haven't paid you. You've done terrific. We did work again last night. Mentioned all the football coaches. Well, Norm DeBryan, please stand up. This is how you run a program. Get up here. 2 baseball coaches in about 50 years. That says something about Razorback baseball. The only way you stay that long is if you win big. And I know Norm DeBryan was a second baseman, right? But no, not Norm DeBryan. Dave Van Horn was a second baseman, right? He wasn't in the league of the guy we're honoring today, right? No. Johnny Ray was a 2-time All-Southwest Conference second baseman. He helped lead Arkansas to a combined 80-28 record, including a national championship runner-up finish in 1979. The Oklahoma native led the Hogs in numerous offensive categories in his 2 seasons in Fayetteville. In 1978, he led the team in at-bats and doubles. In 1979, he was the team leader in at-bats, runs, hits, runs batted in, and triples. And this is an amazing number. His 12 triples in 1979, that's a record that will never be broken. Johnny was a 12th-round Major League draft pick. He was Sporting News Rookie of the Year in 1982, won the Silver Slugger Award for second baseman in 1983. He played 10 seasons in the major leagues. He's from Oklahoma. This is talking about a small town and how important athletes can be to that small town. There's one road sign outside his hometown that reads, Shoto, Oklahoma, home of Johnny Ray, and I know they're proud today. Today he's being honored for 2 great seasons of the Southwest Conference. How about a nice hand for Hall of Famer Johnny Ray?
Ooh, wow. I'm not one for talking a whole lot, but this is indeed an honor for me. You know, I think about all the days that I had when I were playing here in college at Arkansas and all the people that I come in contact with. You know, Coach O'Brien, Caroline, they're very close to me. My wife, Tammy. I'm trying not to get emotional. I guess people from Oklahoma, I guess we like to cry. I don't know. But I remember all this, all the good things that happened to me. I'd like to thank the committee and everybody involved for getting me involved in this. It's a great honor. I'm speechless. I don't talk a lot, so this will be short. But I can remember the rivalries, You know, I had to get adjusted to that coming from a small town. You probably had more people here in this building than I had in my hometown. So, you know, it was a little different. You know, I think about rivalries. I thought about Texas Week. You know, I never understood that. When I got to Arkansas, everybody wanted to talk about Texas Week, Texas Week. I'm like, what does that mean? And I'm like, you don't know nothing about Texas Week? Rivalries? No, we hate them. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, we don't like them. So my first encounter with Texas, we had our first series down. Coach Ryan remember that. We went to Austin. So I'm sitting in the dugout not knowing what's going on. We walk out on the field, and there's a bunch of people over our dugouts. And they're screaming, hollering, and calling everything in the book at people that are players and everything. And I'm like, well, I'm glad they don't know me. You know, it's my first year here, and didn't understand. But majority of the people there, they were doctors and lawyers from the University of Texas. I'm like, these people are talking like this to us, and they're doctors and lawyers? Yeah. Well, they was called a wild bunch. But it was all fun for me, and I enjoyed every bit of it. You know, like I said, Coach O'Brien and Caroline is very close to me. You know, he recruited me out of Oklahoma. You know, small town guy. You know, didn't know a whole lot about anything. They helped me grow and get to the next level I wanted to get to. Because most major college players who come out of college, they have aspirations about trying to go to the next level and do something, and they helped me out there a lot. My family was very supportive of me. You know, that's about it. So I told you it was short and sweet, but I'd like to thank everybody involved for having me here, and go Hogs.
Here, Johnny talk about Coach DeBryan, and Bruce talk about Coach Broyles. Just another example of the impact a great coach can have on an athlete. John Richardson, the first African-American scholarship football player at the University of Arkansas. He blazed the way for thousands of future Hogs with grace and dignity. Asked Bruce James to describe him as a player. He said he was a glider on the field, a tough back to bring down. He was second on the team in rushing in 1970 with 441 yards and 9 touchdowns. He also ranked third on the team in catches with 17. In 1971, he was third on the team in rushing with 483 yards and 3 touchdowns. He had a career best 154 yards and 2 touchdowns against Oklahoma State. As a senior, John was second on the Hogs in rushing and led the team with 7 touchdowns, and also broke the school record with 501 yards in kickoff return yardage. Nolan Richardson recently told me how important it was to be the first black college coach to have a court named in his honor, because he said there can't be a second without a first. Thank you, John Richardson, a Southwest Conference Hall of Famer. And here to accept his award is Beverly Richardson. And to speak for him is Muskie Harris, his sister Beverly.
Hello, everyone. We won. I had to tell y'all that, and before I get emotional, I'm going to tell you a story. I want to also recognize John Richardson's guest and my guest, Miss Lisa Peters. And one day she asked me about what was it like, and I just broke down. It was just so emotional. And I have to go back and tell you that not only were we wasn't recruited, we were selected because we were the beginning. And paraphrasing Coach Wilson Matthews, we don't know a damn thing about you. And our parents was also a part of our recruitment. And tell you a quick story, my parents never been out of the state of Arkansas. And they called each other Hun and Honey. And they were getting ready to go play College Station. And the back of the bus club, Buddy Coleman and the group back there, they were getting ready, and it was like a Thursday. And Dad was still poking along, and she said, Hun, we getting ready to go to go to College Station. And he turned around and said, hell, I know where Timey lives at. He thought we were playing College Station down the road here. I told you it was an experience. But being number one, John's not here, Bruce Mitchell's not here, our parents are not here. We had responsibility. We knew what we were selected for. I was thinking about putting this speech together, and I had a quote from one of my mentors, Miss Daisy Bates, and she said, some people are changed by histories, others make it. And another quote by Mahatma Gandhi, you must be the change you want to see in the world. Well, all of a sudden I got some mail the other day, and I couldn't leave out this great Arkansan, Miss Maya Angelou, and she said, you are alone. You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. And that's the way we were at the University of Arkansas. Coach Broyles, Coach Matthews, and John, we had the first black meeting because this was the first group of 14 or more African Americans at the University of Arkansas. Coach Broyles stated, we were told we must be responsible, we must endure, we will be strong, we must be enthusiastic. You care about your teammates, you trust your teammates and coaches. That acronym spells respect. You give to the athletic department by adding encouraging and determined. That acronym spells respected. That's what you leave with you from the University of Arkansas and carry on in your life because you have exchanged a day out of your life for it. And I want to thank all y'all for continuing supporting us. Thank you.
I think Bass threatened Muskie. I've been around Muskie a long time. That's the shortest speech ever. He must have intimidated you last night. All right, we make a big deal now if, say, a football player like Connor Nolan goes out and pitches in baseball, a two-sport star. There will never be anyone again like Glen Rose. A native of North Little Rock, Glen Rose was a true three-sport star for the Hogs. In football, first-team All-Southwest Conference in 1927. In basketball, he was All-Conference in 3 of his varsity seasons and was a first-team All-American as a senior. On the baseball diamond, wasn't he on the Hall of Fame earlier? It was a first-team All-American as a senior. On the baseball diamond, Glen Rose excelled as a left-handed pitcher for the Hogs, and it just starts there. He became the Hogs' head basketball coach in 1932, led his Hogs to 5 conference championships in the semifinals of the NCAA tourney in 1941. Also the head football coach for the Hogs in 1944 and 45. He leaves Arkansas, comes back in 1952 to become the head basketball coach again, this time for 14 more seasons. His 1958 team won the Southwest Conference and played in the 1958 NCAA tourney. This is the most amazing Razorback I've ever seen. Please welcome Hall of Famer who truly did it all, U of A's Glen Rose, and here to accept his award, he must be very proud, is his son Alan. Wow.
Wow. Everybody's talked about emotion. I get to talk about the person I call Dad. Okay, I didn't know where to start. And then the more I thought about things, and when I read the program, I said, I know. There are 2 people, to the best of my knowledge, who, born and raised in Arkansas, Razorback red blood. That's my dad, Glenn, and his best friend, George Cole. They both went to school, came back and coached. An incredible record. Both of them had. Pardon me. It's an honor on behalf of myself, my sister Glenna, my wife Rebecca, my son Glen Rose II, and Glenna's son, Michael, to accept this award on behalf of our dad. Thank you very much.
Lisa Sparks Walker. Recently, over the last 8 or 10 years, I've become a big fan of McClellan High School and their football rise from, this was a desperate football situation, and the coach got this team, and they played in 2 state championships, and it was basically deemed a failure factory academically, and they closed the school. But it's great to celebrate their great past today. And she was a track star at McClellan High. Great story. Some people, you know how you learn how you're fast, maybe you have the 50-yard dash in 5th grade. Well, she was in 3rd grade, and a friend used to steal her hat. And her motivation for running down that friend to get the hat was if she didn't come home with that hat, she'd be in big trouble from her mom. So she always got the hat. So she figured out she was going to have a future in sprinting. And she became an early sprint star for the women's track and field team. She competed from 1980 to 83. She was a 2-time All-American. In 1982, she earned All-American honors as part of the 4x100-meter relay team. And in 1993, she earned All-American status at 440 yards. She continues, this is impressive, to be a presence in the Arkansas record books in both the 300 and 440-yard events. She owns 3 of the top 5 times in both events and was part of a school record performance in both the 4x200-meter relay and the mile relay. I've become a good friend of her husband, who's coach at Little Rock now, and had a huge buzzer beater win at Missouri State to open the season. But it's so much of a pleasure to honor you today. Southwest Conference Hall of Famer Lisa Sparks Walker.
That's a hall call. Come on, y'all. Hall call. Come hall. I'm kidding. Clear my throat. Thank you. I'm honored, and I feel truly blessed to stand here today. To be inducted into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame. You know, I was really surprised when I got a call from Kevin to tell me that I was being inducted into this hall. I'm so used to sitting where you're sitting and watching my husband stand here up here. But today, you know, I know he's proud of me as he sit there and watch me as I accept this award today. You know, I asked myself, how did I get to this point? Why am I here? You know, I watched so many great athletes and this distinguished panel. I'm so pleased and so proud to be inducted with you all because I know your accomplishments, your family's accomplishments, and I feel truly blessed to be a part of the induction with these people. But running for me was really fun, and it's something that just happened. You know, I just grew up playing with the friends. When I was younger, I grew up in the household with my grandparents. And I had my aunts and uncles who was always there pushing me, encouraging me to do good in whatever I was doing. My uncles were a little older than me, and they had all their friends that they played with, but I was always included with the guys because I could play with them just like any other guys in the neighborhood. I had friends who had bicycles. We didn't have bicycles. We just ran alongside of them, you know, just... We didn't feel bad about it. We were having fun, just kids having fun, playing hopscotch and baseball and all this stuff, just having fun growing up. When I was in junior high school, Title IX came about. And so Title IX enabled us to have a track program at our school. So we never had one. And I was in the 9th grade at this time. And nobody signed up for track. So I was a cheerleader. So the cheerleaders, all the cheerleaders was the track team. So they made us run track, and I enjoyed it because I was winning. But our cheerleading coach, she was really encouraging me. You got to keep running, Lisa. This is just really pushing me because she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. Because for me, it was just fun. But she told me there was an opportunity for me to be able to go to college. And my family couldn't afford to pay for me to go to college. And I really didn't know what college was. How much does college cost? I didn't know any of that. Because we just lived a simple way of life. And we was all happy. Because we had a loving family that supported us. And so we never knew what we didn't have. But I continued to run and get recognition for it. And I thought, oh, well, maybe this can lead me somewhere. So when the coach from Arkansas, which was Coach Ed Renfro at the time, started recruiting me, I don't think he ever talked to my parents, not one time. I don't ever remember he talked to my parents, but he, told me about the opportunities, about coming to run. And I went for it because it was a chance for me to, leave home and take what I thought was a burden off my parents, but I actually made one for them. But going to this university was a really great experience for me, and being on the track program there, I had great friends that I still have today who's sitting out here today. Even my relay team, the Made American, 2 of my teammates are here, and I do want to acknowledge them because they made me better. Gloria Russell and Wanda Harris is sitting over here. And also a couple other ladies from my team, Anna Sue and Yvette here at the same table. And a friend that we allowed in our group from later on was Cynthia Morse, who ran track for the university also. But being on the track program, we had some great experiences there. It was in the infancy of the program for track there. So we didn't have a lot of the amenities, nowhere near the amenities that the program have now. All our trips, we went on a bus. It's called the Hog Hauler. So we had to take all these long trips. You left school and you drive, and when you got there, you had to run when you got to the meet, and you had to leave, and you had to get back from school. And it was nothing for us because we thought that's the way it was. We never even thought about it, the things that they do now. It was all fun. It gave us so much time being together. We had, amazingly, so many experiences because all these women have been my friends forever. We never stopped being friends. So we developed those relationships just from being on a track program together. And also, just want to say I've been encouraged a lot in my life. From all my family members. My husband, he has just been the biggest supporter of everything that I do. Because when he stands here for his own accolades, he always stands and say, my wife deserves to be right here by me. And I appreciate that, and I thank him, and I'm going to always be right there for him too. But I do want to say my siblings who are also here today, they've always been great supporters of me. They've always looked up to me, and I wanted to be that big sister to them so they could have somebody to follow behind. And they're over here. Y'all can raise your hand, please. My sisters and brothers over here at the table. And I have 2 of my sons and my grandsons are over here also who's here today. But I thank you all. I'm so sorry. My friend Beverly, I have to introduce her. My friend came down from Maryland. I met her later in my life, and we have developed an amazing friendship over time. And I do want to acknowledge her that she's here today. Beverly, please say hi. But I just want to say thank you so much for you all being here, because I'm so grateful that the university saw something in me to get me where I am today and to develop all these amazing friendships over time. And I appreciate that so much. and I'm so, the friends that have, I can, and I'm done. Oh, Bash, you stole my moment. I did want to say that, to tell you all that Daryl and I were the first husband and wife team to to get inducted, because I found out from Cooper and Tom earlier today. But it's really special. It's really special. It really is. And I just want to thank you all today for inducting me into this time.
Everybody likes different, Darryl. So after a few big wins, when they're special wins, you sent Lisa up for the post-game press conference, and I guarantee she's got a better chance of making the 10 p.m. news there. Just a tip. All right, our final inductee is John Barnhill. Incredible man. He asked Nate Allen, who's a writer in Northwest Arkansas, or the family did, to write an acceptance speech. And boy, Nate, it was beautifully written. Incredible. But it'd take me probably 20 minutes to read it. So I butchered kind of his speech, and I'm going to pass you some of the high points. But what an incredible man, and my respect for Nate is through the roof. And these are Nate's words. From an Arkansas perspective, a Southwest Conference Hall of Fame without John Barnhill is like an Old Testament without Moses. One difference, though: Moses parted the Red Sea. John Barnhill united a sea of red. Following a great run as head football coach at Tennessee, John Barnhill shocked the football world by choosing Arkansas as both head coach and athletic director. His 1946 Hogs shockingly won the Southwest Conference and tied LSU in the Cotton Bowl. He retired from coaching in 1949 from what would be later diagnosed as multiple sclerosis. His impact as athletic director was incredible. He established Razorback clubs throughout Arkansas and in Tulsa, Dallas, and Memphis. He established the Razorback Radio Network. He expanded Razorback Stadium and built Barnhill Fieldhouse. And get this, after a 1946 game with Texas, vastly exceeded capacity at Quigley Stadium. We're in Little Rock, and Barnhill moved the game in 1947. No, I messed it up here. I read wrong here. Here we go. 1946 game. Didn't have enough folks at Quigley Stadium in Little Rock, so he moved the games to Memphis. My writing did bad here. 1947, they're supposed to play Texas there at Quigley Stadium. There's not enough seats, so he moves the game to Memphis and irritated folks so much that it inspired the birth of War Memorial Stadium. And I apologize to Nate because it took me about 2 minutes to get through one paragraph. Barnhill was the model for Frank Broyles, a Georgian who came to Arkansas, whose first coaching hire was Little Rock High School coaching legend Wilson Matthews. Broyles said none of Arkansas's greatness would have happened without John Barnhill. Not because Barnhill hired him, because Frank said, "I followed Barney's blueprint." John Barnhill proved and instilled that you can come to Arkansas bringing new ideas, but first and foremost, always, you must listen to Arkansas and respect Arkansas, treasuring who and what makes Arkansas special. When Coach Broyles received John Barnhill's call to Arkansas, Frank famously said, "Barney, what took you so long?" Yes, we can say the same to the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame, but now with today's induction, we can all say that while Arkansas's New Testament continues to be written, its Old Testament stands honorably completed. Congratulations to John Barnhill, and what a great group. And Baz thanks you, because a successful luncheon usually gets done at 1 o'clock for Baz, and it's 1:01:41.
How about that?
Steve Sullivan, everybody. Well done, Sully. All right, real quick here, what we're going to do. First of all, I'd like all of our honorees, and Alan, you stand up, and Muskie, accepted on behalf of the Richardson family. All of our honorees, Bruce, Delmonica, stand up. Johnny, please stand up. Again, rough weekend, but isn't it great after a rough weekend to come in and hear all these folks and families of all the dedication they gave to the Razorbacks? Let's give these honorees into the Southwest Conference Hall of Fame a big standing ovation at Little Rock Touchdown Club. Thank you for being here, everybody. Greg Sankey will speak next week. If you want to have pictures with any of these honorees, come up after we dismiss, and we'll get your picture made with anybody up here. Thanks, Connor. Thanks, Tom. If any honorees, family, or friends want to get any pictures on stage, you can come on up. We'll do some pictures up on stage. Any honorees or your family members or friends, Dwayne Duncan, our photographer, will be up here and get any shots you want. If anybody wants any pictures, just come on up. We'll take them now. Family members or friends, we'll get you with your medal on. Any pictures with a step repeat. Thanks for being here. Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, will be here next week.
Thank you for everything.